So people might be wondering, excuse the glacier bit in my mouth because I'm deciding to wash away the taste of defeat. No, I'm just kidding. But someone else is going to be defeated today, and it's not me. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. Again, it's like one of these topics. So I'll say tune out if you're not interested. But I was thinking about how you can become a human rights activist, and really I got thinking about this when I saw a animal rights organisation protesting to free Palestine, and people were saying like, "Oh, is this about the animals, or am I missing something?" And some people were saying like, "Why are you supporting this? It's like a terrorist organisation." Like what? There's no fucking evidence for it. Like, what are you on about? So it got me thinking as well, like, why the hell do vegans end up protesting for human rights and advocating for them? I think there's a few reasons, and there was an interesting sort of interview I saw with a Holocaust survivor about the situation in Gaza, and he's basically explaining how everything going on there is a Holocaust. They're actually trying to silence the people and essentially stop any sort of knowledge of the genocide happening. So, yeah, and one of the things that sort of took my interest in that interview was actually just how much we didn't know about Gaza in that sense. Like, there was a few things in that were shocking, but one of them was the fact that they were essentially demonstrating the thing that Nazis did back in World War II. And that's basically playing down the significance of the genocide and trying to make it so that people die quicker. So they already know they're committing war crimes, but they're also trying to kill women and children specifically quicker, like as if they're livestock. And the interesting thing he brought up was about how Nazis would apparently treat animals well, which I find very bizarre because those don't really go hand in hand. They're treating animals well, but humans poorly. That's pretty much unheard of. But I reckon there's a difference between how people treated animals back then and also probably went underreported as well. Because we don't even know for sure if it's like people were actually treating animals well back then. But the point is that I found it really interesting to hear that, because how can evil people essentially do good things to animals? And I honestly can't really answer that. I think it depends on the person, because you either grow up hating people and loving animals, or loving both. But you can also grow up loving people and hating animals. Like, it works the other way around. It's quite a complicated psychological question, and I think really you can do so many things that are good, but you can also slip up. You can make mistakes, which I think is what's happened in, let's say, World War II, sadly. Because yeah, they might have treated animals well, but they probably didn't treat all of them well, and it doesn't really correlate to human rights, because it's like two different fields of study, thermal subjects. So they're completely different things. And how you view animals could be very different from humans as well. And I've certainly had my mind changed a lot. I don't view animals as like as innocent as children. Even though I've grown up with pets my whole life and I do love them. But still, I realise there's really fucked up things in nature and the animal kingdom. Sort of realising how the planet is against you, and it's like survival of the fittest. It's like really fucking dark shit. It's crazy, but again, we're different these days, and that's why you see like vegans even protesting for human rights and advocating for them. Because we've got all this information again at our fingertips, and we should use that privilege well. Unfortunately, we're seeing people who are quite callous using the internet and actually justifying, or trying to justify, very evil things, like the genocide in Gaza. So, we're in this fucked up situation, and people are misusing the internet. These are the people that need to be investigated. Like, I've seen people talk about, or specifically like domestic abuse victims, speaking about their experience with, obviously, abusive partners. And this is on TikTok, by the way, but there are people in the comments saying, like, yeah, right, you probably made this up. Or they're trying to fucking downplay it. And some I've even seen try to justify it. They're saying, oh, you probably deserved it. You don't sound like a nice person and that sort of thing. It's fucking absolutely crazy. And it's quite scary as well, but the fact that those people are probably not even going to get arrested is also a sign of corruption in the government. In any location that has essentially been sort of spied from. Let's just sort of bring up the reason I got into human rights to begin with. So I used to be very misanthropic because of obviously seeing what people do to animals. It's quite easy to sort of get those two sort of mixed up, and yeah, you end up just disliking humanity and just being like, yeah, that's fun when they get killed. The humans, I mean. At some point, I realised that humans were also equally important because we're the only ones with the power to obviously help animals. And we have done great things for animals, like we have pets just because we can. We can help them have a better life. And they can stay fed and groomed. Never have to leave our side. Like, honestly, it's quite utopian in that sense. And it's sad that we can't have many other animals as domesticated animals or pets, like whoever. It does room for it, but I don't know if every animal can. And there's definitely different requirements, like what I'd give to fucking have a pet rescue fox, but the maintenance might be a bit too high, to be honest. You know, I need to also install a cat flaps allow in the conservatory that I have. Yeah, we have a conservatory here. So, I guess it's an interesting conversation about human-animal relationships. Not bestiality, obviously. I'm not fucking talking about that. It's gross. But I'm talking about how we view everyone differently, including animals, and my realisation was, again, animals are not exactly as innocent as people make them out to be. In fact, it's a romanticisation. Humane Hancock did an interesting video about this recently, about how people romanticise nature. It's about the Lion King, actually, and how it sort of takes away what actually happens in the animal kingdom, like how horrific it is for lions. Some really dark shit, like two lions getting fights to the death, two males. Whoever wins, obviously, if the one who has the family, the pride, wins, then they get to keep the family, obviously. But if they lose, obviously, the lion's dead, and the new one will come in and fucking eat the young, and make new young with the females. Like, it's all sorts of fucked up, and it does make me kind of sick to my stomach at times when, you know, you got children having toys of like fucking lions and stuff. It's all well and good to have that, but again, it's such a dark fucking world out there, and you can't really pretend like this isn't an issue. And wild animal suffering has been a big point of contention in the vegan community because we simply don't know how to properly address it. We can give out utopian ideas of like creating enclosures and feeding them properly, like lab-bred meat, whenever we get that mainstream. Feeding that to all the carnivores, and also trying to essentially befriend carnivores so they can actually become friendly. And hopefully through the power of evolution they might actually become more domesticated than we think. But that's not really optimal, and also for the ecosystem as well. It's like, how do you address this then? It's one big fucking clusterfuck, and it's not easy to address. It's a simple site. I don't think there's any way around it exactly. Yeah, like realizing that myself years ago, it's just like, oh, not sure what to think about this and what to feel. It's again like very dark and worrying. I think if you think about it, like this is happening to millions of animals. Like I think nearly, I guess every day, like they go through horrific shit like starvation, dehydration, and obviously rape. It's like the big one. It's just horrific. So again, like animals aren't as, I don't think as great as people think they are, but still obviously respect that they shouldn't be farmed in mass quantities and also hunted. It's just stupid. Just disrupts the ecosystem as well, so it's like an environmental hazard. Yeah, I suppose that brings more into like why I care about human rights as well. Again, humans have the power to change things. That's a big deal. That's a big deal just because we seem to be the only ones who can actually protect animals from each other. But the other thing, I guess, is we're just more intelligent and can be more emotional as well. And really, that sort of brings us together in some way, and that's sort of where I started to care. Because realising that how animals are treated is terrible made me realise that humans are also treated similarly in some areas of the world. The Palestinian thing, no doubt, exemplifies this. Like, it's literally a fucking slaughter, because that is what a Holocaust is. It's a mass slaughter, and it's really horrific. And this is why people need to care, like vegans included. And this sort of thing will be perpetuated, and it can bleed out into the real world as well if we're not careful, if we don't address it soon enough. And again, they're trying to silence the Gaza people, the Palestinians, by obviously hitting them at the core, and that tends to be the women and children who would otherwise speak up about this, but they can't because, again, they're being killed all the fucking time. It's just crazy to me that people will ignore this as well. But the reason why vegans should care, because we're better than that. You may not care about people, but they're still people at the end of the day, still like you. You're a person. Unless we could somehow magically transition to an animal one day, I don't think there's any world where it's acceptable to, obviously, allow genocide. Like, it's purely unacceptable. And I'd be disgusted if anyone was trying to justify it. And yeah, like, people do horrible shit to animals as well, and for sure, like, it's not ignore the fact that even Palestinians could be doing this, but they're still people. They still can be reasoned with for the most part, and this situation, I don't know if it's actually happened, but it could even like cause some to question their faith, so it's not like it's impossible for them to ignore animal issues. In fact, I do know from like Muslim populations there is a sort of it's not halal, I think, or is it halal? I think it's halal actually. They sort of try to kill animals as like what's the term? I keep forgetting these words. As painlessly as possible, I think. But they do it in such a way that it's like it's still painful, unfortunately. I think that shows that there is capacity for change, and I don't think it's against a religion to even become like vegan or vegetarian or anything. So again, it's sort of one of those things where, again, they can be reasoned with. It's not impossible, and that's why we shouldn't ignore them. That's why we need people to understand that we're still human beings, we're still trying to do good for the world. The other thing, I suppose, is also just rallying people to our side and gaining respect. Because at the moment, people don't, and it's just causing like ripple effects. I remember on TikTok and shit, it was like going down with like a vegan teacher and stuff, and I think vegan booty as well, if I'm not mistaken. But there were some really unjustifiable bans on there towards vegan accounts, which is just crazy. Shouldn't happen. Yeah, and I think we need people to essentially rally behind us and with us. Because when we've dealt with human rights issues, we need to address animals as well. It very much needs addressing because, yeah, it could get out of hand and it's currently destroying our planet. So we need as many allies as possible. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say there. I suppose there's something else I was going to say though. Just not coming to me at the moment. I guess humans are animals as well in a sense. That's pretty obvious. I do think there's an argument to be made that even discriminating against people is a bit sort of misanthropic. It's very much a type of discrimination too. You know, we definitely can't forgive people for what they've done to not only animals but each other. They can be better than them, not worse. Simple as that. I keep saying that shit, I need to stop. It's just a matter of being better. Being kinder and also showing that also because there's a lot of doubters, that's the other thing I think I was thinking of. There's a lot of people who doubt the vegan movement and call it like I think some would call it Nazism, even though there's no link. But it's just because like there was this myth about Hitler having vegetarian food, and that apparently got out of hand, and people thought Hitler was a vegetarian, even though I don't think he was. They're still eating meat, so that didn't make him vegetarian. So, yeah, just showing people that the same kindness we show to humans should be shown to animals is important. And I think that's really the crux of this. It's actually why vegans will eventually rally behind humans. There's a good reason to. And we mustn't stop fighting, whether it's human or animal rights. So thanks for listening. See everyone knows that.